This is Do Better, the future. Dewey Betterton, BEDDER-MEDA, taking the eye out of media. I got a special guest today. I'm super excited about this, and we'll get to why. There's some stuff with the names there, but I got a hustler, a father, entrepreneur, DJ, event promoter, put together pro, and he's known for the LED wall the size of an IMAX screen. Have him do your events. Legend in the building, DJ Marty McFly. I'm happy to have you, man.
Appreciate you. Thanks.
Happy to have you.
Yes, yes.
So I kind of teased a little bit in that intro, but for the longest time, I have been known as the future.
Okay.
Right. So there's a little connection there.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in how you got the name, right?
Got you, yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because in battle rap, all heard Back to the Future, all the future stuff, you know. Sure. But so yeah, that leads right to the name, because obviously Marty McFly, the future, you know.
Sure.
So how'd you get the name?
Yeah. So growing up, you know, family called me Marty, and just growing up, I'm an '80s baby.
Yeah.
You know,
hey, shout out to the '80s, man.
Yeah.
Me too.
Being in the high school, early 2000s, the movie is still hot, still hot today, right? So shout out to the franchise.
Oh yeah.
They're putting that together, but it just kind of came with the territory. Marty turned into Marty McFly. Started DJing later on, of course. It goes to DJ Marty McFly. So
you were a fan of the movie initially? I mean, I guess everybody kind of was, to be fair.
I mean, everybody loves it.
Yeah, everybody loved it, especially the first one, for sure.
For sure.
And the DeLorean.
Iconic.
You know.
I still was trying to get me a DeLorean.
Well, yeah.
I ain't got that yet.
that would be super, super cool for sure. So you touched on it. You became a DJ at some point. So let's at least let people kind of know who you are. So are you a Des Moines native?
Yes, Des Moines native, the east side. Went to a few different high schools around the metro.
I feel like people are going to want to know. So we got to say a couple of them. What high schools did you go to?
Yeah, I went to Sadell, went to Ankeny, and alternative school or two. But
yeah, I also went to an alternative school as well. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
So, but you went to school in Des Moines. So did you kind of come up in music, for lack of a better word, or like in school, were you around it, or?
I mean, outside of school, I was producing music.
Oh, you were?
But I was never like in a band or any of that kind of stuff. Not any kind of classical training ever. But, growing up, from, I don't know, how old were we? 13, 14, and, through, I was kicking it with Ray West and those guys.
Man, shout out. Can you hit me with a boom, boom, boom? Shout out to Ray West, legend. Actually, I'm going to tell Ray West's name come up on every podcast, man. Dude is a legend for real. But yeah, shout out to Ray West.
Yeah, for sure. So back then it was Bots the Beat Banger. So Bots
that's a lot of bees.
Yeah. So, we were putting some beats together. Of course, they were putting it on, make some good music even way back then. I still have the CDs, you know what I mean? Sometimes
that's so dope, man.
Throw
that's
them in there. Shout out to Takeover One.
And yeah, and to see you guys, we said Ray already, still also doing it. I love seeing that. That's such an inspiration to me, because hip hop tends to try to put an age on creativity. And hip hop is more than just rapping. Obviously, hip hop is the entire culture. And I feel like other genres don't do that. And I love to see guys like you kind of pushing through that. I agree with that. Yeah. I love to see guys like you and Ray pushing through that.
Yeah. Another thing I was throwing there is, I was DJing before I thought I was DJing, right? So I was the guy. Remember, I had a big CD case.
Of course. So
I was pulling up to every party, everybody's house with that big CD. That's right. Tyler back behind the.
Yeah, I meant to do that. So that's my bad. I'm glad you did that. We got T-Robs on the board helping us out today. Yeah. You guys work together, correct?
Yeah.
I could see him. I can see him being dope at emceeing events and stuff as well.
Right.
And putting some stuff behind it. Creative dude for sure.
DJ T-Robs, aka Professor Barsworth the Fifth Esquire. Yes, that last part is important.
No, I appreciate you having you. Thank you so much. Yes. But yeah, so go ahead. You were saying you didn't even realize you were DJing.
Yeah, I was DJing, but I was DJing back then, and and then later on down the road, I was bar backing at a club. They're like, "Hey, we don't have a DJ tonight." Like, sound like a personal problem. I don't know what you want me to do.
So yeah, around what time would this have been? Like when you think you first got like?
See the way my years are set up.
Just to give people a timeline. Are you out of high school at this time?
Yeah, I was like 19.
For sure.
Something like that.
And so you started, somebody offered you a gig kind of out of nowhere?
Yeah, like I said, I was just in a situation. They were like, we need a DJ. And long story short, the next day was a Little Scrappy concert.
Okay.
And so
there's probably a fight at that.
Well, they wanted me to open up for it. I'm like, I'm not equipped for this. I ain't got no music. They're like, just go up there and play some stuff. Like,
that's awesome, though.
Yeah,
so you did it?
Yeah, I did it.
Man, that's awesome. So where was that at? Do you remember the venue?
It was called margaritas or something like that. I don't remember what it
Okay.
was called. It was out in Clive. I
Okay.
remember that jump off that was out there.
Got you.
On Swanson Boulevard. But
That's dope, though.
yeah. And then scrappy people came and kicked me off the board.
I mean, that probably would have happened to anybody, to be honest.
Way back when.
But to be up there rocking the crowd,
yeah,
that's fire.
it was cool. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Were you like a house party guy?
Like, was I DJing house parties?
Or just going to them? I feel like DJs tend to be like popular guys who are kind of like always kind of out doing the cool stuff.
Well, I think we were the ones with the house parties going on.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So we were doing a lot of that and getting in all kinds of trouble.
That's what I'm saying. Creating a vibe. Well, for sure. But this, you clearly, you're doing your thing, So that's what I mean. Where you probably always creating a vibe. Because I feel like DJs these days are more of a vibe and they're more of a, so
they should be.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm saying. That's what I mean. So that's kind of, I was asking if you did that back in the day. I could see that. I have a good friend I've told you about who's also a DJ. He was always kind of cultivating that vibe at the parties or wherever we went.
For sure. Yeah. It's
he had the big CD case too. I ain't gonna lie, man.
It's a process, a progress, from back then to now. And, more tools, more resources to be able to set that vibe right. So, yeah.
So, obviously, at some point, you started to take it serious, DJing, right?
Yeah.
Was it, because even around the time you did Scrappy, you said you were doing it, but you didn't even really know. You were kind of still figuring it out. Right. Was it around that time that you were like, oh, maybe this is a career?
Nah, I think it was closer. I was all the way just to 2017, to be honest with you. I was actually out in Colorado DJing out there. And
so you left Iowa for a little while?
Yeah, left Iowa, went and worked for a company out there called Elite DJs. Excuse me. So Elite DJs.
Like freelancing kind of?
Yeah. I was working under their company and, they managed like 20-something DJs. So we were doing that and had a chance to work, with some different concerts coming through, working with the Colorado Rockies, different stuff going on at that time frame. And so, still wasn't paying the bills quite right.
Well,
it's expensive out there, Colorado.
Sure.
You know how that is.
For sure.
So then,
it's expensive everywhere.
Yeah, and so I ended up moving back here and starting this company. And
that was 2017?
Yeah, 2017. Yep. And so, I gained the skills from being in Colorado. A lot of the stuff that I kind of put into play when I got back. But, working with them, moved back, start the company, but I'm still doing construction. I'm still a journeyman carpenter. Shout out.
I was an operations manager. I did construction for a long time as well.
So when I moved back, I was still doing that at that time. At maybe 6 months or so, I was like, you know what? If I can keep myself booked, I'll just give it up. I'll give up the construction. Mama said, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Hey, man, mom's just trying to keep you safe. You know what I'm saying? Make sure everything's good.
For sure. So, I took that leap, though, and went ahead and did it full time.
She's proud of you now, though.
Yeah, for sure. More than what she thought we could.
We're going to get to that because,
yeah. So
okay, so you came back and started your own thing here. Did you still, obviously you probably still had some relationships and different things, or did you kind of have to reintroduce yourself to kind of the creative people around you? Because you started a podcast, different things after this as well, right? So Did you still have some relationships, or did you make new ones when you came back?
Both. I think
sure.
that, being from here, like I said, people from back in the day. But as far as, the event world, where we are now, those are a lot of just new relationships that we built from 2017 to today.
Got like with different venues and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So we just touched on it. So you start doing events, stuff like that. But at some point, you also start doing some content or some podcasting, or how would you what would you call it? Were you taking it serious at that time?
Yeah. So at that time, it's called Conscious Crew Podcast. That's what you're referring to. And that was all brought out of the idea that a lot of people just want to rap and glorify negativity. A lot of shit they didn't even probably do.
Yeah, we talk about that on every episode, usually not in interviews, but that's a big topic. It's sensitive. It's been a tough topic. It's came up a lot.
Yeah.
A lot in the last few months.
My thing is tell your story, be authentic. If you got things going on, talk about it, but we're not going to support or, put our energy behind glorifying somebody, either telling lies or saying something that's not sustainable. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
You know what I mean?
And you're saying you had kind of that foresight in 2019, because you're saying the podcast was born out of not trying to glorify negative hip hop, right?
Right.
Because I feel like back then it wasn't getting nearly as bad a rap as it has the last few years. It was still, but it's gotten, it's viewed pretty negatively. Based off of, I asked tons of people. I want to get people's opinions, and I feel like in 2019 it wasn't that yet, but you were seeing it that way. as far as like you were just noticing maybe a trend?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of people violent rap and stuff. Like you're not really out here popping like that. So just to glorify it and all that kind of stuff. And even if you are, man, there's all kind of alphabet people for you. Wait,
No, that's yeah.
So anyway, it's just too much for me, and I wanted to just get back to the positivity a little bit and authenticity. And
Authenticity is incredibly important.
Yeah, for sure. So we did that about 2018 or so, started that, and kind of wrapped that around COVID with 2020.
Well, we were talking about how that came together. Yeah, I want to get into a little bit of detail. So knowing that that's kind of what it was born out of, what were your musical influences? Like, who did you listen to, or who did you hear in your house? Kind of, because as a DJ, I think people would be interested in kind of hearing your musical influences. So, from when you were younger, what were you hearing in the home and stuff, and in friends' homes, and then what did you start to listen to as you went through high school?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's one of my greatest strengths as a DJ.
Yes, sir.
Is that I am from Iowa. We got some people that I'm from. I spent some time in Fairfield, Iowa. A small town.
Yeah, I know.
That's backwoods right there.
Yeah.
So we did that. I got but being on the east side,
wasn't a ton of hip hop out there, huh?
Yeah. I mean, not really.
For sure.
They doing country music. They doing everything. So I get that piece of it, but at the same time, on the east side, I remember riding on the school bus. We listened to Gin and Juice on the school bus. The school bus driver was cranking Gin and Juice.
What a time to be alive.
You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying?
I got the best of both sides, and that all helped me. Now, when I want to turn a party out, it don't matter what party I'm at, I'm gonna turn that thing out because I got all this inspiration. The only thing I ain't getting down with is polka music.
Yeah. I like most music too, but just scream metal is kind of a little too much for me.
Yeah, the R&B.
But other than that, I love most music. I can get into most music.
Yeah.
What's a go-to record?
Where?
You don't know.
That's my question.
Like, you don't know. Like, if you had to say, okay, you got one record, the aliens are coming, and they're like, look, if you don't rock this party right now, we're gonna annihilate the world. What record are you playing to represent the world? That's an insane question that I just asked you.
Probably,
now that I think about it.
Yeah.
But what would you play?
There's this remix. I got it in my phone, but it's Erykah Badu, On and On. So if they come to wipe us out,
so we need to check that out. So is that something that is just out there, or is it like some on your play?
Yeah, you can find it on Spotify or something.
That's the one. So y'all go. If you're familiar, then you already know. I'm not familiar. If you don't, go check it out and see if we're live. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, for sure.
That was fun. So okay, so you start a podcast. Was that with who were you doing the show with?
Yeah, so we brought all kind of people on the show as guests, like different businesses from the community.
That's what I'm trying to do. A lot of that as well.
Yeah, we were
trying to do a lot of that as well. We
had some regular people on there, like Equinox was on.
Man, shout out to Equinox, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, back then we were rocking with Cindy Collins was on there. She was a reoccurring host on the show, and we had Rodney Ryan was on there. He's from here.
Really hip hop based.
So it was conscious based, so awareness and also through the music. So we brought the Polk County Health people on there to talk to them. They came in talking.
I love that.
They got inner space. I mean, we're just like a variety of different people coming on there talking through financial health and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the more of that to combat some of the other things that are on the net, I'm supportive for sure.
Yeah.
So you said though COVID hit and you kind of backed away from it.
Yeah, I remember the day that we kind of had our last show. There was actually a show, Conscious Kickback was the name of the show. We were doing it at Vaudeville Muse.
R.I.P. the Muse, man.
Yeah.
I have so many beautiful memories from the Muse, man.
Yeah, for sure. But those shows were doing well, though. A lot of people were coming out, having a good time, and we'd have people perform. It was a great vibe for sure. And I remember the day kind of COVID was a big thing, right? And like, they announced that all this stuff was closed and all this. It was the day of our show, one of our shows, our last show. And we had artists and people cancel. I'm like, man, why this ain't nothing?
I remember that.
But we still had a good turnout though. And, but that was the last show in person there. And then, from there, things just kind of shifted so much. And so
that's an interesting conversation because doing live events, that probably was an interesting time, no?
Oh yeah. But we were so new at that time. We actually grew, I think we still double business even when it was slow. We're doing stuff online. We're doing, so we just like even stuff like this content. had a chance to. There was an app out called Clubhouse. So they were hosting, and like through Zoom meetings and stuff like that. So I had a chance to do like a tribute to Curtis Blow. So we did that, and MC Hammer was there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mace was on there. There's like tons of people on there, and I was DJing that virtually.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, a lot of cool stuff came out of COVID and collaborations.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. So, and then you're building up business as things got back open. Did you kind of hit the ground running as far as live events? Or if you want to get into what it is that you do now, is live events kind of the focus of it?
For sure, yeah. Live events is the main piece of what we're doing now, and working with people putting on amazing events.
So kind of walk me through that. I want to do Sweet 16 or something, some kind of standard party. I come to you.
You got a daughter?
I do.
Yeah, she's 16?
Well, no, she's 19. So
okay.
Let's say it's her 21st birthday.
Okay.
So it's somewhat adult based for the most part.
Yeah.
How do you? What are you kind of walking me through?
Yeah. So typically we get people in different stages of this, but most people, when they reach out to us, they're going to tell us,
"Can you put the whole thing together?"
I mean, we help people book venues and do the whole thing from just the idea, and shot them some venues and all that. But a lot of times people come to us with a date and a venue, and a vision, right? It's like, this is what I want to do. And they say, hey, I wanna throw a rave, kind of, a rager type of vibe,
glow sticks and all that stuff. Yeah,
we can. Okay, cool. We're gonna bring in the big lights. We can do the LED wall, and we can, if you want to do an LED dance floor.
You have that as well?
Yeah.
Or you can get it?
Yeah, we got LED dance floors.
That probably looks pretty incredible when it's all
for sure
kind of put together.
Yeah.
Is there somewhere people can see that?
Yeah, you can go on our website. It's
which is
dsmdancepartydjs.com.
I'll try to remember to put that in there.
Cool.
If we know when this happened, but we'll definitely put it in the description for sure.
Nice.
So have a vision, but you can kind of put it all together.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but do you have a focus?
Dope event, man.
No, I love that. I love that. So you have DJs and stuff as well, though. So you kind of have the whole. So can someone come to you if they want to do like a lefty size concert? Can you do the sound for that?
Yeah, we can. Do they have sound over there? I don't know. What
they do. I was just saying size for to give people I feel like who might watch this idea of what you could put together. So lefties, like you could do something that size though, or even bigger,
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could do like an outdoor event.
Yep, we do outdoor events, staging, lighting, sound, big
right
sound.
Here too, right in Des Moines, to be clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fire. That's fire.
We go to Omaha, Nebraska.
No, I assume the goal we were talking earlier. Again, shout out to my partner. My best friend, love him. Also doing the same thing. You're talking about wanting to do it nationally for sure.
Yeah.
Which that makes sense. But here you could do live events, everything from the ground up.
Right.
That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. It's hard to find a good sound guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's getting good at the basics.
And you have a team as well.
Staying consistent.
You have a team as well?
Yeah, we have a team. We've managed about 10 DJs at the moment, and then our core tech team.
And not all from here. I'm guessing. Do you have? Are they all are from here?
We got some from around the state.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's fire.
But majority of them are from here in Des Moines.
And if there's a DJ out there who believes in this, should he reach out, or what advice would you give to a DJ right now trying to find his way?
Yeah, I think find a way to make yourself unique and be entertaining. You look at so many people. They think a DJ is just going to play the music, right?
Flash drive, right?
You're just gonna. What are you gonna do? You're gonna play the chicken dance, and you're gonna play the I love rock and roll and all that stuff you hear. And there's so much more to it than that. And being able to be comfortable with who you are, get on the microphone. I used to be terrified of the mic.
So you do MCing as well?
Yeah, we do MC. Well, most of our DJs MC as well. So, that's an important piece that, a lot of people aren't necessarily comfortable with. You see a lot of EDM DJs or whatever kind of DJs, and they can sit up there and play the music and do a transition. But, it's not always, interactive. I think that's what sets people apart on the DJ side.
And I feel like as a consumer, being someone who would be in a crowd at one of these events, when an MC when it feels like they're comfortable with themselves, speaking for me, it makes me feel more comfortable with myself. Like when he's telling jokes and not everything lands, or whatever it might be, or it slips or something. Stuff happens when you're doing live stuff. To me, when someone's just kind of when they're just kind of partying with you, you know, I just feel like it kind of a good MC is valuable for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Definitely.
But no, I think you're right. A lot of people would say DJing is just throwing something on. And that's why I asked about the vibe earlier. Because clearly you guys cultivate a vibe.
Yeah, that's the
because the lighting, all the things.
My guy, he's always say, all you do is play records. From that House Party movie, I think.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So who are some DJs that you looked up to? Or that you look up to still?
I think Jazzy Jeff is always a legend for sure. He's
one of the most legendary legends.
Yeah, and again, like you said, he's just smooth on the mic. He's chill, like he's comfortable, and you know that's a big part.
Yeah, you actually see now he kind of has some software and stuff. Have you seen it?
Yeah, he kind of like trainings. And
stuff.
He
does. Yeah, and he actually has a software they put out too, like a recording software and stuff.
Oh, I didn't see
a friend of mine was telling me about it. Yeah. So yeah, shout out to Jazzy Jeff. Were you into any like mixtape DJs or anything like that? Or did you
drama and
stuff like that?
All that stuff back at Hip Hop Heaven.
DJ Clue, all that stuff.
DJ
K Slay,
R.I.P. For sure.
So were you ever did you ever DJ any mixtapes?
We were putting some things together, like putting some mixes together and selling them here and there. But there's levels to it. We were doing our little thing. For
sure. Do you guys do any video DJing?
Yeah, VJ. Yeah,
you do that because that's not a skill that every DJ has either.
Right.
And that's a lot of times that's super cool. A lot of people aren't aware. You go to an event where everything matches up. The video that's pretty dope.
Yeah, for sure. I like it. It's it definitely adds something to the event. But the way iTunes would be hitting $5 a video.
I know. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. So, are you going to appreciate having you on? You're here.
Yes, thank you.
Are you going to get back into content potentially, or are you thinking about podcasting again? Or hip hop could use some voices. Yeah. I definitely support that. But so have you thought about that? Or are you just too busy these days? Or
I'm trying to get my systems together where this thing can I can get a team to help me run a lot of this stuff so I can get back to what I've started doing, right? Because the main reason why I quit that construction gig and went to DJ was to DJ, right? So now it's become so much more than just me DJing. Sometimes that seems like it's almost in the backseat, because there's all this other details, and and that needs to be done. It needs to be like sorted with. We're dealing with people's special days and
absolutely,
and these memorable moments. We want to make sure we land those first before I'm putting content out. But yeah, I feel like our team is building, and we're finding ourselves more where I can get back to content here.
For sure. And what's the name of the company?
Yeah, DSM, Dance Party DJs.
And the website again?
Yep, same thing. DSM, dancepartydjs.com.
And we were talking off camera at some point. You were thinking potentially one day might have a physical space as well?
Yeah.
Some type of showroom, studio, dance thing, hopefully?
Yeah. I mean, that's in the early stages right now. But, yeah, I think it would be a goal of ours to have a situation where we can do small events there, and people could come in and see that, like a little lounge area, and then, have some storage and offices there too, where we can kind of handle all the things in one spot and keep that team,
Got it. So how many DJs you said you have that you work with right now?
Yep, 10.
Got you. So you must do a decent amount of events.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there like some type of events that stand out more than others?
We do a lot of corporate stuff. A lot of corporate, a lot of weddings. But for me, I like when somebody throws me a curveball, right? So if there's promoters out there that want to collaborate on something, and maybe however we can try to put something together, make it work, and up the production of the event, and make sense for everybody. To me, I feel like what we can add is production, and we can add promotion. So we promote our company, and we got some strategies there to hopefully elevate everybody's event. So I'm always looking for that new fresh thing. I mean, we love our wedding. We love our wedding people. We love our corporate people. And, those can be incredibly unique. And
that's what I was going to say. Sometimes they can be unique depending on the type of company, for sure.
Right. And some people have different visions. Some people, they'll tell you, hey, we just want to do it how most people do it. And that's cool. And some people say, hey, we want a rock and roll wedding. Like, cool. Let's put a team together for you to make that vision happen. If it's hip hop, or we get people to say, hey, we want a nightclub feel, like an EDM type of feel, for our reception, our wedding reception.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's rock that, make that happen.
You made a comment that stood out to me because you said these are people's big events. So something like a wedding, you still find yourself, respecting the value of the fact of how big of a deal that is. It's not just like another, because I could see it just being a gig, even when you're good at it.
Yeah.
But are you still kind of seeing it, how big? Because I do think those moments are a big deal.
For sure.
And, it's probably kind of cool to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's going to be ingrained in somebody's mind forever. So,
that's what I mean.
It is important. And I think if you lose sight of how important that is, you just step back for a second, think about what you're doing. And, and if you really think about it, it's one of those moments where, everybody in the room, they all came here. This is all going to be something that they remember, for the rest of their life. This is a lifetime. This is a lifetime
Absolutely.
event. So, that's important. Being able to be a part of that should not be taken lightly or for granted.
Got you. So you said you want to get back to DJing. Do you still do some events now, though?
Oh, yeah. I still do a lot. I'm talking about, the creative side of doing a live stream.
Like live stream stuff, yeah.
Live stream or, doing
mixtape, just fun stuff, yeah.
Getting out, because a lot of times we're trying to set a vibe. Or our goal with our company is to partner you with a DJ that's going to fit the vibe you're going for, right? So I told you I'm not into polka. So if you want an hour-long polka set, I'm not your guy. You know what I mean? And we got bilingual DJs, so we're trying to match somebody with somebody that's going to be a good fit for their events. Some people don't want a lot of mixing and transitioning and, they want to hear the originals. You know what I mean? So, for me, I want to mix it up. That's how I stay excited about my job.
So
I want to.
Let me ask. So I'm gonna ask you that. You nice on the tables or what?
Yeah, I do so, man.
No, that's what I'm saying, man. I feel like,
but
I'm from New York. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like my DJ homies would say like that's kind of how you battle. And I love battle rap.
Yeah.
And I feel like the art of just the scratching was so ill to me. Like I obviously could never do it. But seeing it happen, and I grew up in the 90s like we talked about. So back then you were rapping over records and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So my homie, we'd be recording to a CD burner. It's all live. You can't mess it up. So they scratching records. Man, so you're still nice? You still got it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not those New York guys. I was just out in New York.
No, yeah, but I'm saying if you got it,
at
you
Scratch
got
Academy.
It. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, them guys out there.
It is a culture. It's 100% a culture.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of...
That's what I'm saying with the creative. Getting back to that. Like, people think you just show up and you could just do, like, you got to put time in. You want to have a routine, like some dope, like at a corporate event or whatever. I'm not going to run a routine. I'm going to read the room. Now, when I talk about me creating, and that's a skill. Like that's not everybody has.
Definitely
that,
a skill.
Sure. And that's one of the things I can tap into, and I feel like I'm nice with that for sure. I can scratch a little bit. I can beat match and do all that. But when I think about getting back to the creative, getting back to DJing, it's like I want to work on my own routine. So when I come out here, this is what I'm going to play. You know what I mean? Like I know I'm gonna go from this track. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's your own creative, your own creation. You know what I mean? And that's what I want to get back tapped into.
So to get back to some records, what's a couple? Just the first 3 hip hop records that come to mind that you play at a hip hop show. The first ones that come to mind.
Old heads, or young cats?
Let's just say it's a mixture.
Right now, I'm playing that Sticky. Because that thing sets it off.
I remember me and my daughter listened to it today. Came out. We listened to the album. We try to listen to new albums when we're driving back and forth. We listened to it. I wasn't feeling it at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She was into it early, and then it took off.
See,
what else?
My thing is, you always, again, you got to read the room. But I played that at a Drake event, and all them girls already got a stroll to it. They kill it. Like so.
Yeah. No, I can see that.
Yeah, it's knowing
that's hot right now.
What's moving people. So
okay, so now give me something older that still moves people.
Something older that moves people.
Actually, can I pivot? You mind if I pivot?
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw a couple records at you, and you give me like a 1 to 5 on if they still move people today.
All right.
Does Rough Riders Anthem still work? Be honest.
From 1 to 5?
Yeah.
I'll give it on if it works all the time or not.
I would say you play it. What do you expect?
I'll give it a 3 or 4.
So it still works. Still works, huh? What about something like can you still play like Nickelback and it work, or are the memes true?
I'm not probably rocking with Nickelback on my sets unless the client says they would like Nickelback. And
so the memes are true.
What?
I've never heard a Nickelback song. No. I just know I see the memes and they be like, Nickelback's like kind of a joke,
I did watch their documentary though. Their documentary was an inspiring story though.
No shots at Nickelback, just trying to have a little fun here. Let me ask you this. You hear this a lot too. Is there any Eminem you could play at a party and people go crazy?
Yeah.
No, you would right? You'll hear a lot of the internet like, oh, I don't hear Eminem anywhere.
Mhm.
Nobody's playing Eminem anywhere. So give me an Eminem record that works.
Man, what's that one? It's not Superman. Is it
Without Me or something, or that type of stuff, or is it
dang.
Superman? Probably works still. Does Lose Yourself work?
Yeah,
Probably not, right?
In certain situations, it can.
Maybe at a corporate event,
I remember
you know,
one
everybody
time,
get competitive.
well, one time I broke it on a like I had another beat going, I just dropped a vocal on it, and that was pretty dope. You know, people was feeling that at that time, but yeah.
Okay, can
Yeah.
you play Juicy at an event today?
Yeah,
People know it today. That makes me feel good.
yeah. That's what I mean. It's not always probably appropriate, but it's
Well,
about a 4 out of 5. It's a 4.
But people still
Yeah.
still vibe to it.
Yeah, I play it almost anywhere.
Do people? Okay, let me ask you this: what about If I Ruled the World? Or is there any Nas record that can move a party today?
I'm gonna play that during like a cocktail hour. You know what I'm saying? Like a certain kind of.
Is If I Ruled the people love Nas. Nas is a legend.
Mhm.
Most people's top 3, top 2. Is If I Ruled the World the go-to Nas record, or is it Nas's like? Maybe what do you think it is? You shaking your head over there? This part is just for fun. We'll clip some of this.
To me, I'm looking at. I mean, you can play it full however you want, but I think it's like, to me, there's 2 different vibes. So when you say at a party, I'm thinking like the dance party, like the hype part where we're trying to turn
I'm
the
just going to
crowd
say
up.
21 and up.
You know,
But
nobody's
you're
dancing
probably not going to
Nas.
have 40-year-olds there.
Nobody's
so,
dancing
No,
to
you'll have
Nas.
a few.
Now I do love Nas though. He's got a lot of good things out there, but really, it's all like it's background. Yeah, it's background. It's cocktail out. You know, it's chill music. It's riding your car music. It's all that. It's house party music. But it's
I'm
not.
nervous. I'm nervous.
But it's
let
not.
me ask.
Nobody's dancing to that
Is there any Jay-Z records you can play?
on the dance floor. Yeah, I mean, you got niggas in Paris. You got
The one with Pharrell too, right?
which one?
That nasty, that gushy stuff. People still play that.
I'm a hustler, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
You can play that.
Can you play Grinding still? I know I'm firing these at you. I'm just curious. Do people still know Grinding from the clips?
Oh, from the clips? Nah. I mean,
Not like you would think. Not like they do in the culture. Not like we do.
I mean, and that's the thing, is all knowing your crowd is hard. These are hard because, you know, at one party it's a hard no. Even Juicy is a no at the corporate
I'm wondering
function.
what hip hop can you play at a corporate function that'll still get the corporate function moving? I know there's different types. I'm just trying to have some fun with people.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of times we don't know what hip hop actually works and what doesn't. What about the Lose My Mind, the DMX joint? Does that still work?
Lose my mind.
Or what's it called? What's it called? I get so much cussing that I can't say it. I want to just sing it, so I can't. What about Nelly? Nelly works still, right?
Oh yeah, Hot in Here.
I mean, there's more.
Nothing works unless it's newer, huh?
Nah, I mean, there's a lot of old stuff that works too.
You can't play Wu-Tang at no parties, huh? Maybe try.
These are all tough. These are all tough because there's.
He wants to say yes so bad. That's why I respect you.
I would say
it's
yes.
clear you love hip hop.
Here's the thing.
I would say, man, I don't know.
I would say yes. I would say yes to everything that you said, and I would say no to everything you said because it completely depends on who's right here.
You could play Coolio though. Huh? Gangsta's Paradise can come on anywhere.
Nah.
There's no hip hop. What? Okay, so give me this. What's the hip hop song that could be played anywhere? If you had to pick one.
There's really not.
If you know, listen. There's no. It's just if you had to pick one. People are curious. They're gonna have their own. You know what I'm saying? If I had to play one song to represent hip hop, I'm not. I don't. Can't put. Now I feel a little on the spot, but it would probably be like I don't know, honestly, because I love Jay, but I don't know if that's a good representation of hip. You know what? I might play Many Men. That's gotta work. I feel like people gotta love that. Yeah, or In the Club has to work, right?
Oh, yeah.
In the Club probably is that one of the records that might work anywhere.
So if you think
In the Club, now that I think about it, that one works, right?
Clean version,
Some people
yeah.
play
Well,
that.
yeah, I assume this is all clean version stuff.
It depends on where you're playing it. This is like the hardest.
Time.
Question
What
you can ever
time
say.
is it?
Yeah,
at
what
the
time
event?
is it? Yeah, what time is it? Are we at
Lefties?
7 o'clock? People just
Are
pulled
we
up.
are we at
Well,
lefties?
here's the thing. I've done hood, like the you know what I mean,
Shout out.
ass shaking, just people getting it. You know what I mean? Doing that. You got just different levels, different crowds that you tap into on the energy that they're.
Is it hard to get
looking
people
for.
to dance to hip hop?
Nah.
Hard
I
being
mean,
relative, I guess.
Think about
but
Bootsy. You think about Bootsy. You think about all them like 2000, early
like Wipe Me Down,
2000s.
right? Everybody dances
all
to that?
Yeah, Wipe Me Down. All kind of stuff, man.
But everybody dances to that, right? Now I think about it, I see a lot of videos on TikTok. They
Too
do a
Short
lot of
still
dancing.
goes.
Really?
You think about Too Short.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't name a Too Short song. I'm from New
what?
York.
Yeah, I
know.
don't like Too Short.
Too Short.
Wait, he just throw that in your interview out
Blow
of
the
nowhere.
whistle?
Just
Blow the
that's
whistle?
too short.
Man, come on.
Blow the whistle.
Yeah.
Okay, that works.
Come on, man.
Little John still works too, don't he?
Yeah, Little John can still work.
We talked about Lil Scrappy earlier. Can't play no problems though, huh? It's always gonna start a fight. There are some songs that have that stigma still, right?
I mean,
That like, you know, if you were at a club, heat of the club, it's midnight, everybody's on the dance floor. You play Knuck If You Buck. Does it change the vibe?
it does change the vibe. Every song changes the
Tear
vibe.
the club up or something?
And you know what? I'll be honest. I'll say
Every song changes the vibe.
Every time I've done an event, I've never had somebody fight.
Really?
Never had anybody fight, bro. That's not the vibe.
Can we talk about that then?
I think it is.
Well, because I've been to a lot is relative, right? But in my 13 years in Des Moines, I've been at a lot of shows. People have seen me. That's how I've met people. I like to go to hip hop, and I can count the amount of times that there was violence on one hand. Now, I saw somebody lose their life. I saw some things in those times in which I still haven't gotten over it. But I've had to have the conversation of, I have been to so many safe hip hop events that were fine. So to hear you say that makes me feel good, because I've had people on here, and we've even talked about how they don't feel like can't even go to hip hop events anymore. And I don't know if that's the case. That's not been my experience.
There's something to be said about the people that are putting on the event. I'm not saying, I don't know who's putting on these events to have issues, but you got to create an atmosphere where that's not the vibe. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think it's the vibe at most events. And that's why I think, in my opinion, just at least from my data, the numbers just support that does happen sometimes. Like, terrible things happen. Tragedy happens. Like, I've really been to what I feel like is hundreds of events. I really feel like I've been to every concert Giuliano had. I've just been to, UVT, and like, I've just been to so many concerts. Even some of the young homies.
Let me ask you, why do you think how does it get elevated to that level? What happens at those events?
I think you just got to accept that you just, sometimes, depending on the size of your event, you do just have to be willing to have like an actual, whether it's an off-duty officer or something, you just have to have some type of security. Like, as serious as you take your event, I believe you got to have security as serious. So it can't be
the events that have issues, you're saying, don't usually have security?
Most events don't have security. The events that have issues, I don't think there's anything specific. I really don't. I was at an event that, and I was having a great time. I know that because I said it to the homies multiple times. I'm like, this is amazing. So I can't think of something specific, because there's always alcohol at these places. And I've just been to a lot of shows where but that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And I feel like I've really been to a lot of shows. Like, Get You Some's a perfect example. If you know it, Iowa Battle Rap at all, we had Get You Some, where they have Get You Some, and we did it for a long time. And we've only had a fight at one event. We probably did over, I don't know, I feel like we did 100 events. We definitely did 50. We definitely did 50 events. And we had fights one time. And there was always alcohol and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's battle rap. So I guess, I don't know. I feel like it's just, there's fights, like, if you think about every time you went out, I know people who have saw fights at the gas station, or at McDonald's or something. So I don't know, man. I just think it gets a bad rap.
Yeah.
I know it's like, how do you change the vibe though? I don't know if you can, because a lot of people are saying, like, they don't feel safe at hip hop events.
There's definitely something to be said though about the music and the culture that's being brought to the event. If people all want to come in here and talk about getting rowdy and getting, and F this person, and, there's something about that hostility that definitely brings an energy of, we about to start some shit up in here. And that's where you got to, separate yourself from, or let that be that over there. In my mind,
that sentiment is echoed by a lot of people that I respect. So, yeah. So I guess you have to still be able to tell the story of where you come from. And that's kind of the question I bring to people. So how do these younger people who are coming from this environment that have an art, because they would paint the same darkness, their art would represent where they came from. So there has to be a way to tell the story without glorifying it. Or am I wrong? Or I'm posing that question.
Yeah. So I see it as, it's a lack of artistic expression. If you're going to say, fuck him, fuck her, I did this, I did that, and I'm proud of that.
They taking up Braves and shit.
Yeah, and that's all in videos. That's all low vibe shit. And to me, if you have to go do that to get the shock value, so you feel relevant, So people are like, oh, like if you got to do that, then to me that's not an artistic expression. That's a it's a lack thereof.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. Do you think on the other side, because we can't just throw our hands up, right? I mean, maybe we can, but if we know hip hop is trending in this direction, and we being just people who came up in it, who love it, and what do we do? Do we just I posed this question in the past. At what point is the accountability on the consumers?
Well, I don't think it is trending in that direction. I mean, it's not.
I
for
actually
me.
don't either.
It's not
well,
for
no,
me. And so, to me, it's like I'm not going to look at it as that it is. Maybe it is for these people here. Maybe it's not for them. Everybody got their own likes and what they gravitate toward. And honestly, they say that the drama and all that is addictive. You know what I mean? Like,
everybody loves a car crash or whatever.
Yeah, everybody. Oh, he's got this. Oh, that person just got smacked up. This person, all that kind of stuff is shock value. So people feel relevant. They get the oohs and ahs out of it easier, right? I could just right now on this podcast, I could disrespect somebody, and they're gonna say, "Oh, did you see that?"
That's the only part they're gonna talk about.
They didn't listen to nothing else we were talking about. This constructive and
you're right.
Yeah.
Because what we're seeing now on an incredibly grand scale is kind of you'll hear nobody say anything about Kanye for a month, and then he'll say incredibly nasty, terrible things or whatever, and then he'll have that value. So that's kind of the same thing you're seeing with the younger generation in that wild environment. He's doing it on a much higher level.
But you see, when he was most artistic on those first two albums, he didn't do none of that. You see
you're
that?
Right. No, you're right.
And he was on College Dropout and Graduation. He was dropping bars.
No, I'm with you.
And that was a lifelong work. Now he's taking the easy route by wearing the Missy bubble suit and having this girl dressed naked.
So
I love Kanye.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
But come on.
I'm with you.
Let me ask y'all a question real quick.
Go ahead.
At what point you can maybe say when artists that came out or a time period or whatever, where do you see that shift? Because you hear a lot, it went from this is the lifestyle that we had and we're trying to get away from it to specifically like, let's say talking about drugs, it went from selling drugs to get out to we like to sell drugs to now more modern. It's about doing the drugs itself.
Oh, yeah.
So like where would you see that?
You hit
shift?
the nail on the head.
I think it's always been there. Like, I was listening to a interview of Rick James, which was really ironic because he's
wild
a trip.
boy.
Yeah, he's wild, but he was talking about how he wasn't vibing with hip hop at that time because like LL Cool J was coming out and they were being degrading toward women, stuff like that. So there's always that kind of energy there, even from really the early days of hip hop. And it just keeps, like you're saying, from selling drugs to doing drugs, and it's always this negative connotation that kind of in hip hop is, if not one of the most influential pieces of content and media in the world.
No, it definitely is.
In the world, Craig.
It definitely is.
So
no, it definitely
is. So it's hitting people's minds. I know when that Jeezy hit, hey, everybody was trying to make a couple dollars.
Man, I still listen to Jeezy, but I still listen to that stuff. But no, you're right. But because what comes up all the time is obviously NWA. They were gangster rap at that time. So it always existed, but it felt like DMX is a perfect example of talking about terrible things, but it never felt like I'm suffering from this way of life. And I felt like Nas was like telling the story from like inside, and I felt like Jay-Z was trying to tell you how to get money. And I do feel like you could find it, but I truly feel like the hip hop I grew up on gives me a little bit of an edge in just kind of how I view things. And I think in this day and age, I feel like hip hop is almost damaging to some young people I know personally who are good people. I've just seen hip hop kind of make them look at things just in a way that I don't understand. And I feel like hip hop helped me back then. So it did exist, but I do feel like there was a method to the madness. But maybe I'm just an old head saying that, you know what I'm saying? But it did feel like it changed at some point. But even like 50 Cent and like, I don't know. It just
Mini Man and all that. Yeah.
It felt like it was telling a story. Like it didn't. I ain't gonna lie. The joke would be we all wanted to get shot at that time, right? Because it felt like it. But that's not how I felt when I was listening to it. It made me feel like, damn, I don't want to go through that.
That's good art. You know what I mean?
But
Like,
it did change somewhere because it's hard to find that now. You know, it is a lot more of just, but that's also their reality. So I've been the one defending hip hop for this last few months, but I just don't want to throw my hands up and be like, you know, can't connect with it. So I just want to make sure that sometimes when you make something seem like it's worse, they almost double down, you know? So I just want to make sure that kids coming up in a wild environment where those things are actually happening, I just want them to know that hip hop still has to be a way out.
but do you have to? I mean, if you feel like you need to rap about shooting somebody or whatever, go get some counseling, brother. Go get some counseling.
Well, I'm going to ask you this though. No, I don't disagree. But what does it say about the people who want to listen to that? I'm not even just talking about. I'm talking about people who love hip hop. I'm even just talking about the rappers. What does it say about the people who want to listen to that?
I mean, that's what we're trained. This is our biological, right? So our biological. When I'm scrolling on my feed, I intentionally block people or unfriend people that post fight videos. I'm not trying to see that shit, but I still catch myself. Damn, they getting their ass whooped. Right?
I appreciate that, man, for sure.
You know what I mean? Because that's that shock value. I mean, we are biologically like, this shit's cracking off. This, you know, something. So we love that shit.
Man, I appreciate that. I can feel your love for hip hop. I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, you know, hope to see you again. Hope to definitely continue to work but I want to make sure. No, hold on. You know what? No, leave it. Because he deserves every bit of that. Don't even slow it down. Leave it. You definitely deserve that. But I want to make sure, let people know, you know, where they can find you, the website, you know, kind of let them know again. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's so you can check me out on all things DJ Marty McFly. And
like what y'all thinking about.
Yeah.
The DeLorean.
Yep. DJ Marty McFly, Instagram, Facebook.
And I'm the future. Who knew?
Website, all that.
They came together.
And
like the 90s all over again.
Yeah. And if you guys have any events, man, you know, holler at us. We love to collaborate.
That's what I'm about to say. Even if they just want to maybe run some stuff by you at first, see if there's opportunity there.
Right.
It doesn't always have to be right. That's what I wanted people to know, that if there's opportunity, I know a lot of rappers that I know, a lot of artists. I hope check this out, you know, and the people who already know who you are, check it out. I want them to know. I know some guys who could benefit from potentially being able to put together a show. I don't know who I would call if I needed sound and stuff right now.
Right.
You know, and not every venue provides it. I think hip hop needs to start to think a little more outside the box anyway, to get to a little more venues that are conducive to a different vibe, you know, than the same specific places, which I love them. Right. I do. I'm not going to act like I don't love the ignorant shit. I know. So I do love that feel, you know, but I get it. You need to have places that have another vibe for the whole other part of the culture that wants to come outside and not deal with some of that stuff that comes at the same venues all the time, you know? So, yeah, I want to make sure people know that they can get with you for that. And I appreciate you taking the time, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you having
me. You definitely had a lot of substance, man. You know, you definitely got a lot to say, and I really appreciate that. Your love for hip-hop is clear, you know, and then even since I met you, it's just, you know, focused and driven and you know, been doing content. So it's, you know, I hope to see you more. I'm sure people hope to see you more. T-Rob, you know, I've known you a long time, man. I appreciate you coming. Yeah. You know, really helped out, brought a lot to it. Just really glad to have you guys, man. It's the future. Do better. BEDDER-MEDA. Taking the eye out of media. And we are thankful for having you guys, and we really appreciate that we get to rap with this music here, because we're just happy to be here. Thank you so much.